Hello, everybody. Today we are going to discuss smog, its sources, effects, and mitigation. What is smog? The word smog is coined from two words, smoke and fog, but it does not mean that smog is the combination of smoke and fog. Rather, in chemical terms, the chemical composition of smog is quite variable and complex as compared to smoke and fog. Smog is community-wide polluted air. Its composition is variable. It is commonly used to describe the pile of automatic or industrial origin that lies over many cities. The term was probably first used in 1905 by a British scientist to describe atmospheric conditions over many British towns. It was popularized in 1911 Manchester Conference of the Smoke Abatement League of Great Britain on the more than 1,000 smoke fog deaths that occurred in Glasgow and Edinburgh during the autumn of 1909. Types of smog. There are two types of smog, sulfurous smog or London smog. This is a reducing smog, and second is photochemical smog or Los Angeles smog. And Los Angeles smog is oxidizing in nature. The sources of pollutants, the chemical composition and effects of both types of smog are variable. However, both types of smog are harmful to humans, animals, plants, and infrastructure developed by the human beings. Both of these smogs are visible, and during smog time one can observe the smog and also can sense smog by smell as well. Sulfurous smog or London smog. This smog is also called London smog or reducing smog, and it results from a higher concentration of sulfur oxides in the air and is caused by the use of sulfur-bearing fossil fuels, particularly coal. Coal and other forms of fossil fuel contain sulfur dioxide naturally. In coal, very high amount of sulfur dioxide sulfur is present, and coal may contain up to 32% sulfur. Other fuels like petrol, diesel also contain sulfur, and the content of sulfur in petrol and diesel is quite low as compared to coal. During burning processes, coal, petrol, diesel, and other forms of carbon stock is converted into sulfur dioxide. This type of smog is aggravated by dampness and a high concentration of suspended particulate matter in the air. So during burning processes, gases are produced as well as particulate matter is also produced. The particulate matter, which is very fine particles, are also produced due to the movement of vehicles, cars, buses on roads, and during their movement, the fine mud particles are converted into particulate matter. Smog-like air pollution trapped higher in the atmosphere and can persist as atmospheric brown clouds, which can cause climatic and health effects. For the first time, this smog was noticed in London, UK, where it resulted thousands of deaths. This smog becomes more prominent and visible in winter time when air movement gets slower due to less temperature. The smog is due to the presence of primary pollutants, the pollutants which are directly originated from their source. For example, sulfur oxides are the primary pollutants because these oxides are produced due to the burning of fuels. Photochemical smog. Photochemical smog is also called Los Angeles smog. This smog occurs most prominently in urban areas that have large number of automobiles and industries. It requires neither smoke nor fog. This type of smog has its origin in the nitrogen oxides and hydrocarbon vapors emitted by automobiles and other sources, which then undergo photochemical reactions in the lower atmosphere or troposphere. The highly toxic gas ozone arises from the reaction of nitrogen oxides with hydrocarbon vapors in the presence of sunlight, and some nitrogen dioxide is produced from the reaction of nitrogen oxide with the sunlight. So ozone gas O3 is a blessing for the human beings when this gas is present in the stratosphere. In stratosphere, ozone absorbs the high energy radiations coming from the sun and thus saves all forms of life on Earth from the harmful effects of these radiations. Anyhow, ozone, when present in the lower atmosphere or troposphere, this is a pollutant and it causes many harmful effects on humans, animals, plants, and as well as the infrastructure development developed by the human beings. The resulting smog causes a light brownish coloration of the atmosphere, reduced visibility, plant damage, irritation of the eyes, and respiratory distress. In this smog, the concentration of ozone is increased. Surface level ozone concentrations are considered unhealthy if they exceed 70 parts per million for 8 hours or longer. Such conditions are fairly common in urban areas prone to photochemical. Sources of smog. There are several sources of pollutants responsible for smog formation. Pollutants such as sulfur dioxide are released from burning of coal and other fossil fuels. Nitrogen oxides are released from fossil fuel burning. Volatile organic compounds are released from all the combustion processes as well as from the emissions of oil and gas fields. Burning of agricultural remains and other waste, forest fires across the globe, release of fine particulate matter from industries and refineries. In short, all the combustion processes in industries, automobiles, aeroplanes, and all types of other machinery are responsible for smog formation. The exploration of oil and gas and their transportation all over the world is dumping thousands of tons of unburned hydrocarbons in the atmosphere. These hydrocarbons, along with other pollutants, are responsible for smog. For effects of smog on agriculture, smog causes injury to foliage, may be visible in a short time and appear as necrotic lesions or dead tissues, or it can develop slowly as a yellowing or chlorosis. of the leaf. So in this picture, you can see the damage of leaves caused by smog. There may be a reduction in growth of various portions of a plant. Ozone gas causes injuries to leaves. The plants with broader leaves are more affected. Sulfur dioxide causes injuries to stomata. Fine particulate matter makes a layer on the surface of leaves and hence reduces the photosynthetic and respiratory processes. During smog, there is the less approach of light rays to the plant leaves. Also, the temperature is decreased. These factors reduce the photosynthetic activity and hence less agricultural production. The smog chemistry, how the smog is formed in chemical terms, the sulfur present in different types of fuels present in the wood and are combustible waste or materials is converted into sulfur dioxide during burning process. This sulfur dioxide further combines with the oxygen and it is converted into sulfur trioxide. Sulfur trioxide, when dissolved in water, is converted into sulfuric acid. This conversion may take place in the atmosphere because in atmosphere water vapors are present, and this conversion also takes place during the rain formation. The sulfur trioxide is responsible for acid rain as well. Ammonia present in the atmosphere may react with sulfuric acid, and in this reaction, ammonium sulfate particles are formed, and these particles participate in particulate formation in the atmosphere. Sulfur dioxide may react with water, and during this reaction, sulfurous acid is produced. The carbon present in fuels during burning is converted into carbon dioxide, and the carbon present in the fuels may also be converted into carbon monoxide if there is the reduced supply of oxygen during burning process. Smog has been found responsible for both the production and loss of ozone in the troposphere, and nitrogen present in different fuels reacts with oxygen and it is converted into nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide in the presence of sunlight is converted into nitric oxide and less atomic oxygen is released. The atomic oxygen reacts with O2 molecule and it is converted into O3 or ozone. O3 molecule reacts with nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide and oxygen are released. The nitrogen dioxide may react with water and during this reaction nitric acid is the atomic oxygen produced in the previous reaction may react with water and during this two hydroxides are produced. The hydroxide reacts with carbon monoxide and during this reaction carbon dioxide is produced and one hydrogen atom is released. The hydrogen reacts with the oxygen and hydrogen peroxide is formed. The hydrogen peroxide further reacts with nitric oxide and during this reaction nitrogen dioxide and one hydroxyl is produced. Nitrogen dioxide in the presence of sunlight is converted into nitric oxide and atomic oxygen is produced. The hydroxide may react with ethane or any other hydrocarbon present in the atmosphere and it converts the ethane into ethyl radical. The ethyl radical reacts with oxygen and it is converted into ethyl, uh, rather acetyl radical. Acetyl radical reacts with the nitrogen oxide, and during this reaction, nitrogen dioxide and ethyl oxyradicals are produced. Ethyl oxyradical further reacts with oxygen, and it is converted into acid aldehyde, and water is produced. Reaction. The acid aldehyde further reacts with OH, and during this reaction, acetyl radical is produced and water is released. The acetyl radical reacts with the oxygen, and it is converted into acetyl peroxy compound. Acetyl peroxy further reacts with nitric oxide, and during this reaction, CH3CO2 plus nitrogen dioxide is produced. The CH3CO2 is further degraded into methyl radical and carbon dioxide. The methyl radical reacts with oxygen, and it is converted into methyl dioxy compound. The methyl dioxy compound reacts with nitric oxide, and it is converted into methoxy compound plus NO2 is released. The methoxy compound further reacts with oxygen and CH2O, as well as hydrogen peroxide is produced. The acetyl peroxy compound may react with NO2, and during this reaction, peracetyl nitrate is produced. Now, the effects of smog on human health. Sulfur dioxide, it is as already discussed, is released from industries, burning of fossil fuels, electric generation plants, and as well as from volcanic eruption. This gas causes respiratory problems, irritation, inflammation, and infection, asthma and reduced lung function, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, cardiovascular disease, cardiac arrhythmias, hemorrhage, stroke, hydrocarbons, automobile exhaust, and industries release the hydrocarbons, and hydrocarbons have carcinogenic effects and may cause leukemia and lung cancer. Per acetyl nitrate, photochemical reaction of hydrocarbons and nitrogen oxide result into the pain formation and irritation in the eyes, nose and throat, breathing problems, and damage to the proteins. Nitrogen oxide, combustion of fossil fuels, volcanic eruption, lightning, forest fires, all the combustion processes produce nitrogen oxides, and it causes damage to the liver, spleen, and blood cells. It may cause kidney cancer, prostate cancer, brain cancer, and reduce the birth weight. Tropospheric ozone is formed as a byproduct of photochemical smog, and it causes eye and respiratory irritation, cardiovascular disease, heart failure, breast cancer, fatal bladder cancer, and it affects growth and body weight of the baby throughout pregnancy period. PM2 type particles result from vehicles, industries, and these particles penetrate deep into the lungs and affect the reproductive system, cause Parkinson's disease. Also, these particles cause low birth weight and heart fatal growth. Effects of smog on human economy. The human economy is badly affected by a number of ways. Smog affects the physical and psychological health of the people. The people with poor health are less able to contribute in national economy. Due to smog, the visibility is reduced. In reduced visibility, the transportation of cars, buses, trains, and aeroplanes is halted, so less work, and due to less work, there is less productivity. The smog stops the solar spectrum coming from the sun to Earth's surface, hence quantity of light as well as its intensity is reduced. With less available light and heat energy, the plants cannot carry out the optimum photosynthesis process. Pollutant gases such as ozone, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxides cause physical injury to plants and thus reduce the plant growth. Mitigation measures to control smog. Number one, enforce emission standards for vehicles. Implementation and enforcement of Euro 5 or higher emission standards for all vehicles, and it is necessary to phase out old high emission vehicles and promote electric and hybrid vehicles. Introduction of incentives for using clean fuels like CNG or biofuels. Number two, it is required to promote the public transportation development and expansion of public transport systems such as buses and metro networks, encouragement of ride sharing and carpooling to reduce the number of vehicles on roads. Number three, strengthening of industrial regulations, enforcement of strict emission controls on factories and industrial units. It is required to mandate the use of scrubbers and other pollution control technologies in industries. Also, the relocation of heavy industries away from urban centers may result into the reduction in smog formation. Control of agricultural burning, provision of alternatives to crop residues burning, such as machinery for mulching or composting. Also, the education of farmers on the harmful effects of burning stubble and other offer subsidies for cleaner practices. Number five, plant urban forests, increase green cover in cities through urban forestry and rooftop gardening. Promotion of tree planting drives to absorb air pollutants and improve air quality. Promotion of renewable energy, transition to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydropower to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Provision should be there on tax incentives for households and businesses adopting clean energy solutions. Number seven, improvement in waste management. The open dumping or burning of the waste should be reduced, and there should be the proper waste collection and disposal systems. Also, recycling and waste segregation should be encouraged. Then number eight, monitoring and penalization of polluters. Use air quality monitoring system to identify high pollution areas and activities. Heavy fines on individuals or industries violating the air pollution regulations should be made. Number nine, raise of public awareness, and of course, this is the most important aspect of smog control. If the masses are properly aware, they will take care of uh, uh, for producing very less pollutants. They will drive less. They will not burn the waste in the open air, and there will be a proper awareness, and this awareness could be done by means of social media, by electronic media, by uh, print media, and it is required to launch nationwide campaigns to educate citizens on smog prevention and mitigation. Also, provision of guidelines on reducing personal contributions, air pollution, such as using energy efficient appliances. Number 10, adoption of regional collaboration, coordination with neighboring countries to address cross-border pollution from agricultural burning would also be helpful. And in this regard, development of joint strategies for air quality management could be helpful for reducing smoking. Also, the energy should be conserved at home, at work, everywhere. We should be very wise for the use of energy, electricity, and different types of fuels. Look for the Energy Star label when buying home or office equipment. Carpool, use public transportation, bike or walk whenever possible. Also consider purchasing portable gasoline containers labeled spill-proof where available. Be sure that the tires of the cars should be properly inflated, and also it is wise to use safe and environmentally friendly paints and cleaning products whenever possible. The compost should be made from the leaves and yard waste as well as agricultural waste, and composting process is more environment friendlier as compared to the burning of the agricultural waste. Also, trash and other waste should not be burnt. I hope this video is quite informative for you. Please subscribe the channel, and in comment box I hope your valuable comments. Thank you for watching this video.